Hello, everyone. I think everyone can see me now, yes? Make sure that that's all functioning. So just say yes if you can hear me. Or Tracy, give me a yay, hello. Welcome, everyone, and Happy New Year. I am in a very soggy and wet San Diego, which is a good thing and a challenge because we're not used to it here. And because of this wild storm, the airplanes are taking off in the other direction. So if it's a little noisy, I apologize. If there's a plane, I might pause for those little moments so we don't. So I'm sure you can hear me. So welcome and hello to everyone. I love seeing where everyone's from. Hello, Max, Paula, Jane, Stacy, Mary, Susan, Jen. Good. Well, I'm really excited about tonight's talk because, you know, so often at New Year's, people get really excited to go out and make really big changes in their life and create resolutions. And the idea of a resolution means that something is wrong, right? We need to resolve, which is silly. But there's a natural reason why resolutions don't work. And you know, I forget the statistics of how many people fail at their resolutions. But there's a natural, and I'm using the word natural reason because we live within the laws of nature. We live on the earth, which is this amazing planet that we have a moon that revolves around us. We are revolving around a huge flaming ball of gas called the sun. And there's lots of other planets. And they all have an effect on our body and on our planet. And so this idea of New Year's in January is unbelievably silly. It's an arbitrary time to start the new year, and it's relatively new that New Year starts in January. I don't know if everyone realizes that. So like October means 8th, right? Or it's to mean the 8th month, and then November 9 and December 10. So there used to be 10 months, and the year started at the spring equinox. And springtime is much more of an appropriate time to think about starting new and bursting forth with new energy and new life, and more of that masculine energy, which is outward and dynamic and, you know, sprouting like seeds. And here we have New Year's in the middle of winter. We just had the winter solstice, which I love celebrating. And thank you to anyone and everyone that shared your wishes on our solstice tree. And I'm going to share some pictures soon. It's really quite beautiful. But the winter time is the ultimate yin time. And yin is the receptive feminine. So those of us that know Kuan Yin, or that beautiful, sometimes called the female Buddha, Kuan Yin is the ultimate receptivity or femininity or listening or deepening. And my experience this winter has been just that. I've been basking in this sense of deepening. And instead of, you know, it's against our grain in today's world to think it's okay to stop and not push and be energetic and dynamic. And, you know, where my body, and I'm sure many of your bodies, are really wanting to go to sleep earlier. And instead of punishing ourselves for thinking that's lazy, or we need to go to the gym and lose weight from the holidays, or, you know, it really is against the natural rhythms that we are in, that our body is made of and in alignment with. So I want to give you some other ideas or ways to engage with the season to really create a more profound and deep strength and health. Now in Ayurveda and in Chinese medicine, there's a saying, and it's true, that the health of next season is dependent upon this season, and how well we are in alignment with our rhythms and listening to our body and participating with what's going on around us. So, you know, there's a deepening and a slowing that occurs in winter, you know, and the element of winter is water. So if you think about, and I'm in San Diego, So while I don't get frozen lakes and snow, I mean, we are having a rainstorm, which I'm loving. But if you think about in winter how water freezes, literally the molecules of water get so slow that they freeze. So it's the coolness, it's the crispness in the air that is beckoning us to slow down and turn inward. And when we do this, we're able to really recharge and replenish us from a deep sense. And you know, I have a 3-year-old, and we've been reading many of these beautiful books about the seasons. And I'm reminded, you know, in these books, there's the little root children that live underneath the earth and the roots of the trees. And, you know, and we've just came out of fall where all of the trees lose their leaves. And they drop the leaves. And then what happens to those trees is all of that energy goes from the tips of the branches down into the trunk and down into the earth. And those root children and all those little spirits and the bugs and all the creatures that live in the forest go and hibernate and go inside and have hopefully collected in the fall enough nourishment and food and reserve to get through the winter. And hopefully they're all snuggling and keeping warm. But to take our energy inside and to go deep and to replenish from there so that we are composting and mulching so that in springtime, our seeds have been energized so that when the sun again comes, we can burst forth into the new life that wants to come from us. And that's where our visioning, the opportunity of really envisioning our spring is now, and to use that internal pull and draw. So while, you know, many people have gorged on sugar and that type of thing, definitely, it is always a good time to clean up our diet. But we as a culture have an obsession on detoxing or cleansing. And I was just talking with a woman today about detoxing and cleansing, and she said, and she's also a health provider, and she said she was moving in many years ago to a new boyfriend's house, and she was doing another detox, and someone said to her, "Why are you always trying to make yourself smaller?" And she really got the implications and power of that. And that's so true. If you think about what your body would have to do in order to cleanse in winter. Because I'll remind you, if you've done my webinars in the past or introduce a new idea if you're new, is in Ayurveda, our digestion, and I don't mean just our physical digestion, we're digesting our physical food that we eat, but also our experiences, both mental, emotional, spiritual, we're digesting those in our being. And our digestion is linked with the sun. It's called Agni, A-G-N-I. And in the summertime, when the sun is straight up above us, we have the maximum digestive heat and power. And in winter, when the sun really tips down on the horizon, that is the time when we have the least outward support to digest. So that's when we have to draw our energy from within, right? So that's why this time of year we want to focus on rejuvenation and replenishment and nourishment versus stripping away and detoxing. But yes, again, it's always a good time to clean up the diet, removing sugar, removing bad rancid fats or processed food of any kind. I always encourage that. So with the element that is associated with winter is the kidney. And some of the issues that can happen with the kidney are low back pain, the knees, urinary issues, which I've been hearing a lot from people, excessive anxiety or fear. Now, fears typically fall because we're, you know, having to let go of, or lamenting, the letting go of summer and the excitement and the outward energy of that. So we lament letting go of that. And then once we've surrendered and we can go into the deepening of winter and that nourishment, you know, and it's just kind of like that flying experience. And winter is very much like caterpillar soup. If you're unaware of what happens to become a butterfly, the caterpillar, when it goes into its cocoon, literally dissolves into a soup. It's called caterpillar soup, and then it emerges as the butterfly. So let's all think about ourselves this winter as caterpillar soup. with the opportunity to eat and think deep, powerful, nourishing movements and thoughts and foods in order to have the most magnificent version of ourselves for the spring. So knee pain, back pain, urinary issues, dizziness, inflexibility, resistance to change or grow, ego, that type of thing. So as you might remember, I had my knees reconstructed 4 times when I was a child. So I really struggle with my knees, particularly in the winter when it gets cold and damp. So they've been really good lately, but I'll show you. I have a heating pad on my lap right now, and this has little granite round discs, and it's an infrared heating pad to stay nice and warm in my very spoiled 55-degree outer temperature. But and castor oil packs. So if you have anything going on with your low back or your knees or aches and pains in your body, get some clean castor oil, and I can post it on Facebook if you want to know the brand that I recommend that I know is, you know, non-solvent extracted. Put the castor oil on a joint. I put it on my knees with a little heating pad, and it's a way of helping to support with warmth and fluid to my knees, but also it's a nourishment of my inner self. So we want to be sure that we are replenishing our deep reserves, right? So, and I will have time for questions later. I know that I love to do that, and I see a little bit of that there. So to focus on this deepening and this slowing, and to focus on body care. So ways to replenish ourselves for body care, and I'm really big about mineral baths. So I love MediSoap from Premier Research Labs, which I think we'll post on Facebook, or Tracy might drop into some cool box that she does here on the webinar jam. Essential oils, and to keep warm. You know, we want to keep our neck warm. In many cultures, it's believed that illness or cold or flu get in through the neck, and that's where we release a lot of our cold, or through the head. So to keep that nice and warm. To stay moist, you know, wintertime really sucks the moisture from our body, whether you have the heater on or just those winter winds. So to remember to drink your water, and you can make it tea, right? So I still wake up and have my 32 ounces of water in the morning. I'm still getting DHA oil. I like one from algae. I'm still, evening primrose oil is one that I recommend for women for dryness in the winter. And to, you know, use a nice coconut oil on your skin, so to stay moist inside and out, and that's important for the kidneys. The kidneys, you know, filter the blood, and they also regulate the pH in the body and our hydration levels. So you don't want to allow your blood to get thick, because then it makes the kidneys have to work harder, and then the blood has to work harder to pump this thicker blood. That's why heart attacks are more common first thing in the morning. I think typically Monday mornings, right? Sorry, I have a fuzzy for my blanket. So that's why in the morning our blood is the thickest, we're the most dehydrated, and it's the optimal time to drink water because our stomach is empty, and that water can go to the small intestine and more readily absorb into the body, right? So the best things to eat this time of year are things that don't make your body work really hard to digest. So not tons of raw foods, or you can supplement with raw meals and raw foods. But I like root vegetables, stocks, and soups. If you include beans or grains, you want to be sure that they're soaked properly, or you cook them with extra water. Broths, veggie broths, bone broths, and Louise and Heather Dane, their new bone broth book just came out, and it's really beautiful. It's tons of recipes. Heather is wild about using bone broth for everything. Some herbs that you can use, or teas, are going to be the warming ones. You know, your ginger, nutmeg, cloves, cinnamon. You can do like a Siberian ginseng, or some of the root vitality herbs, or I like the South American maca, suma as well. Astragalus, rhodiola, which are more adaptogenic herbs. Adaptogenic is a term for herbs that help you adapt to stress, essentially. So, and I love a product called Adaptogen from Premier Research Labs. It's a really nice blend. It's best to take in the morning. It can give people a little too much energy if taken later in the day. Winter is a great time to really focus on our structure. So the bones and bone health, which is why mineral baths are good. And be sure that if you're filtering your water, you're remineralizing your water. So the brain, the bones, focusing on your structure. You know, the winter is also a time when our veils are thin, you know, in terms of between the worlds. And so it's a great time to envision and go deep. It's not a time for cleansing, as I mentioned. It's about rebuilding. So when it's time to envision, think about, you know, when you build a house, you need to have good bones. You need to have good walls, good structure, good foundation. This in winter is the time to focus on that, not the colors of the walls or where the windows are, but envision that deep stability within yourself. So what are you deeply connected to? You know, it's a good time to continue cleaning out the closets, to look at examining relationships. Are things, you know, that need to be cleared? So from that stillness, you know, envisioning what does your spring look like? So I like the analogy of gardening. So if you're in your little nest right now and you're sitting on your nest eggs, or you're composting and mulching some seeds, what are the seeds that you have found to be so precious and brought with you in order to use your precious energy now? What do you want to give birth to in the spring? And envision that and get essential. Because in the winter, it is really time to be essential. Another thing, you know, in Ayurveda, there's you know, it's a very complicated, beautiful system. And there's 6 tissues when we develop, you know, bones, blood, muscles. And the one that I think about in addition to bones with winter is fat. You know, and fat is a vital and important tissue to our body. So it is a cushion for the organs. It's a protective layer. So, and in the spiritual sense of that fat tissue, it's about self-love, and it's about security. And in the same way, if we get sick and we have the flu and we've lost weight, it's good that you had some extra, not extra, but just that essential fat layer. And in the same way, when life is hard or we're really challenged or life is kicking our butt, that we have that fat layer of self-love to be able to walk ourselves through it and still feel nourished and say, you know what, that was really hard, but you're amazing and I love you and I accept you, and allow that. So winter is a time to really replenish that layer of cushion and safety within ourselves. And in winter, you know, it's also Yule. It's the time of really coming together with loved ones and community to find warmth and beauty, right? So in nourishment, we're spring, you know, it's going to be, and I'll do another webinar on spring of really how to maximize that energy of bursting forth. And, you know, our food, everything changes. So I just want to review a little bit here before we do some questions, is to focus on the deepening and the stillness, to get essential. So yes, let go of your sugar, let go of processed foods and oils and anything that isn't part of what you're building towards. It doesn't have to be harsh. It doesn't have to be dramatic. And in fact, it's better to take kinder, gentler steps with ourselves and loving steps. And instead of making decisions that say, wow, I need to go to the gym, you know, 10 times in a week to punish yourself because you really indulged over Christmas, let's be loving and say, okay, we indulged. Let's take some loving steps. And while it would feel good to go to the gym maybe 4 times, 5 times a week, so think about it in terms of what would be loving and supportive. I want you to sleep more in the winter. You know, the sun goes down earlier, it's darker longer. I love those nice long nights. I love that deep space of stillness and quiet. And in my experience, the mind net, or the collective unconsciousness where everybody's on autopilot, you know, you can really feel it at, you know, rush hour traffic, everybody's in mode. You know, it feels to me in the winter where that's a little bit more calm or quelled. So it's such a profound time to do spiritual work and to deepen. And then I love doing Nadi Shodhana, switch nostril breathing, and I have that video up on YouTube. Body care, you know, eating root vegetables and soups and stocks and taking baths with minerals, getting really yummy warming herbs like my tea, which is very warming and yummy with herbs, and Tulsi tea, holy basil is a brilliant one. Do restorative exercises. Don't start a spin class if you've never done one before. Don't resolve to start training for a marathon if you're not a runner. This isn't the time. So spring, do that in the spring. If you really want to run a marathon, I support you. Don't start and engage with that now. Envision, you know, what do you want to sprout in the spring? What are you going to compost? What are you going to use your sacred energy with? And yogi tea, which is what I'm drinking right now, is I think Tracy has a cute little recipe card that she made. Yogi tea is an ancient recipe that I just make on my stove with cinnamon sticks and clove and cardamom pods and peppercorns and ginger. I don't think I missed anything. Maybe one ingredient. But it's so warming to the body, it's warming to the health, it's to the house, it smells amazing, and that supports your kidneys and your hydration. So instead of this arbitrary time to start the new year, let's really start the new year in the spring, and right now deepen our reserves and nourish our reserves and enjoy the natural rhythms for what they are, right? So I'd love to take any questions now, if anybody has any, or any comments, or tell me what's your experience in winter. Tell me something beautiful you love about this season, or something you've learned about yourself in this season, right? And I know there's usually a little gap here before questions. You know, it is more of an emotional time also, because of the element is water. And allow yourself the space to feel those emotions. I like the idea of being responsible to my feelings. You know, I'm definitely not someone who's dramatic and throws fit or, you know, out there, but I definitely find that it's so important to be responsible to them in terms of expressing them through writing or through art or through movement or meditation. And allow, you know, I work a lot, and a major tenet of my work is listening to the body and healing others by listening to their bodies. And this winter and this yin is the ultimate time to do that and to deepen your own listening practice. So allow yourself and take time to do that. And when you're laying in bed and you're envisioning the future, really focus on that sense of hope. I love the idea of laying in bed and cultivating the sense that anything is possible, that, you know, your illness or your suffering can shift, that your body could heal, that your relationships could heal, that the world can be a more peaceful place, that the suffering that I feel in the world, you know, cultivate that sense of hope, because that's really what is needed. Yeah. So Cecilia is asking, could we have your recipe of yogi tea on Facebook? Absolutely, we will. And one thing with Facebook, there's something that, so Facebook has changed its algorithm for people that are considered a public or business page. You actually have to go, and if you go to where the like button is and you hover above it and you have to click on, you want to see this in your news feed. Otherwise, you won't see what I post unless you go to my page. But if you click on see it in your news feed, then anything that I post will come to your feed. So, and I'd like that. I love interacting. I want to know more of what you want to hear. What can I share? What do you like? What do you not like? Do you have a product that you recommend to remineralize water? Yes. There's a couple, and I like to alternate through a few things. I love from Premier Research Labs, their Polar Mins. I also like Anderson's Mineral Drops. You can get both of those things on Amazon. And then Jennifer, do you have any suggestion on calming down at night to go to bed earlier and get to my rest or sleep sooner? Yes, sleep, sleep, sleep is so important. Most often people need to cut off the technology sooner before it's time to go to bed, you know, and create an evening ritual that's a winding down. So the color of technology, right, the screen emits a certain frequency that stimulates your brain to produce hormones that tell you it's daytime. So for those of you that are sleeping at night and your body's producing melatonin saying, oh, it's sleep, let's chill, let's go, and you're looking at technology, it will stimulate your adrenals to produce hormones to say it's daytime, wake up. So there's that. And then also to do the Epsom salt baths, because mineral like magnesium is a wonderful thing to supplement with. You could do magnesium before bed, you know, like to just help your body calm down and to sleep. Also chamomile tea with some passion flower. I like a product from PR Labs called Tranquinol. I also love a homeopathic called Calms Forte. If you're really stressed and you just need, you know, and homeopathics are so nice because you're not feeling like you're taking something. And even the Tranquinol is not something that you would get dependent upon. For sleep, it's really about creating evening rituals to get you relaxed and unwound, because it's an epidemic in our culture that we've forgotten how to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest mode. We're in the sympathetic focus, fight, flight, intense mode, and in order to just drive your car, you have to be in the sympathetic nervous system. So if you're, you know, working an intense job, or you have an intensity at home, or just the day-to-day of watching the news, which I don't do, but that is very sympathetic, keeps you in that mode. So the ritual of unwinding and teaching your body that parasympathetic is home base, right? I'd love to do a whole class on that. Where can you purchase the infrared heating pad? Sure. I'll post that on Facebook. So this is the medium-sized one. They make one that's about that size, so which is kind of like a castor oil pack size or a hot water bottle. I also love hot water bottles, but this is really nice with the granite discs that kind of radiate the heat really nicely. And I sell them too. If you wanted to purchase it through me, we could ship it to you. That'd be fine. Let's see, Karen, my dermatologist told me that I have excessive histamines on your skin. Told me to take Claritin. So there is something you can take, a natural supplement called Histame, and that might help you. But I'd need to know, Karen, a little bit more information to be able to answer that question as to why that's ending up on your skin and what's the trigger. Because to me, I'm feeling more of an emotional component there for you. Yeah. But I would try like the Histame before the Claritin. Yeah. Any other questions, beautiful people? Was this helpful for you? What part of what I shared struck a chord, or is something that you feel like you'll apply? And tell me, are you enjoying winter, or do you resist it? I know many people resist it. You're welcome, Jennifer. I know depression can be an issue at this time. And I think it's because we're not taught how to navigate the stormy seas of emotion, you know, and to be comfortable in our feelings and to be in the unknown. You know, that's very much what winter is like, because we're having to be a little bit more in our shadow, we're without the sunshine. We are without that light. So we have to rely upon our own inner light. We get to find that deep power, our own candle flame inside of ourselves. And it is a beautiful time to learn more about our own shadow and what we want to heal or improve upon, and shine the light of our consciousness on. So I really enjoy that about winter. And yeah, I also love summer. Laurie, I hear you. Yeah, it's too cold in Chicago. Yes, it is. I know it. And I moved from the East Coast to Southern California. So yeah, soaking your beans and grains. So when you soak, you should soak all nuts and beans and grains always. So a big part of like digestive issues that I see is the phytic acid. Phytic acid is in the skin of nuts, grains, beans, and it's actually an enzyme inhibitor. So it's actually like a protective mechanism of that seed, which a grain is a seed essentially, right? And so is a bean. So it protects it, right? So that it has to be softened and soaked in the soil before it can sprout. So, but when we eat things that aren't soaked, that neutralizes that enzyme inhibitor, that makes it more difficult for us to digest and then can create long-term issues. So not only does having more cooked and moist food support our health overall in winter, but it helps to neutralize that enzyme inhibitor. Right. So waiting for spring for resolutions, Donna, you enjoy hearing that. It's so good. And I really, it literally, this is not the right time to start new cycles. It's not. It is the absolute worst time to start new cycles and push forward. And yeah. So Jennifer, I feel like I'm fighting my own dormancy by having to work 40 to 50 hours per week, and winter is calling you. Oh my gosh, absolutely. So how can you, within that intensity of a work week, really still nourish yourself? So at the end of, every work day, maybe tell yourself, I'm going to go home, sweetie, and we're going to have such a beautiful hot bath with minerals and candles and, calming music that is going to nourish you. And then, or wow, sweet body, I'm going to go and we're going to drink the most yummy tea, or take breaks in the middle of the day so that you can connect with that. Because I know there are times, and I have a toddler, so it's not like I can hang out in my PJs and just meditate all day in winter, which I would love to do, but doesn't work. And even today, like with this rainy, stormy day, I felt the resistance of even the webinar. My energy was like, wow, to just be projective and put myself out there, to the world energetically wasn't a yin experience. So I can do that, and I'm so happy that I did, but I'll nourish myself in order to bring that balance, right? That's helpful. And Mary, I like releasing the guilty feelings when we curl up and go inward. Oh yes, yeah, gosh, shouldn't we all do that? Is to give each other permission to do that and change, this fallacy in our culture that it's all about excelling and it's all about pushing forward. And, it's not, because if we push forward now and we don't honor that inward pull of deepening, then in spring, we won't have all that we need in order to birth what we're here to birth. It's kind of like, pregnancy. If you don't give yourself the space to really build a being and to rest and to nourish, it's not going to be as magical as it can be. So Erin, I hear you that you are in Australia and it is summer. Yes. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm creating is a really beautiful, and I'm so excited about it. It'll be a 5-part, because fall there's transitional seasons, but it's a seasonal cleansing program that is not just food-based and not just cleansing of the body, but also, setting up your environment for each season, how to maximize that, how to, meditations for relationships in your life that relate to each season. I can teach you more about like the kidneys of each season. So it's a very comprehensive course that will take everyone through the seasons. And the beauty of that, Erin, is that it will be done for each season so that those wonderful people that you are in the Southern Hemisphere will still get that opportunity. And I did do a summer class. I wonder if it's available. Erin, if you put your, if you email Tracy or like the newsletter email, then I'll see if I can find that video and send it to you on summer. Okay. And Christine, for both tips, you're welcome. Yes, yes. Cecilia, thanks for sharing the wisdom of winter not being the right time to start something. It's insightful. Yeah, and it's insightful. And isn't it nice to know that, you know, our instincts were there. And so often our instincts are there to like, wow, I just want to do this, but, you know, everybody else is going out there and pushing. And, you know, so to honor what I know all of you have already felt intuitively. So the mineral baths, Beth, and herbal teas, I've been using my breathing technique and going within the past week and enjoy it. Helps with the Chicago winter. Yeah, that breathing exercise, you know, I've learned and practiced a lot of pranayama exercises and love all of them, but that one is the one that I come back to again and again as the most versatile and so effective. So that's the Nadi Shodhana breathing. So anyone that's not familiar with it, it is helpful for balancing the hemispheres of the brain, bringing in alignment the different energies, masculine and feminine energies within our body, clears the energetic channels in the body, as well as calms emotions. So if you're really agitated or activated in some way, you can sit and do that breathing exercise to get more clarity and stillness. The applications are really infinite. So yes, I encourage you, everyone, to do that. We'd have a fabulous, peaceful world if everyone was doing Nadi Shodhana. Well, I want to say thank you. And the other course, so the cleansing course, I'll be deepening a bit this spring and then hopefully launching the whole course within this year. So if there's anyone interested in getting on a list to hear more information as that comes out, I think Tracy has a sign up for that somewhere on here. I'm not sure exactly how this whole thing works, but yeah, or just email my website and say that you're interested in the seasonal cleansing. Yes, you're welcome, Erin. Thank you. I really enjoy doing these webinars also, and I don't know what time it is, but I think it's late for you there in Australia. So if there's no other questions, what are considered the energetic channels, Christine? Okay, so in yoga, we have what are called nadis, or like nerve endings or energetic channels. They're kind of, think of them as nerve endings. And then in Chinese medicine or acupuncture, we have meridians, right? And this is areas where we move energy, currents or channels or circuitry. We are a magnetic creature, right? We're an electromagnetic creature. So we have a magnetic field. We have you know, and minerals are so important because all of our cellular functioning, all of our cells need to be electrically charged in an appropriate way, and minerals help to do that. So those channels can get blocked, right? And that can cause all kinds of illness and symptoms and long-term pathology down the road. So keeping those clear is very important. So that's a quick answer for you there. Okay. I saw somebody on here is also in Seattle. I'm going to be speaking. I'm on Valentine's Day at the I Can Do It with Hay House in Seattle on Valentine's Day. So I thought that was fabulous. I'm going to be speaking about how to love yourself to health, and not just to health, but to optimal living, right? So you as the ultimate Valentine. So if you happen to be there, you know someone, I'd love to meet you in person, right? You're welcome, Jennifer. Definitely interested in a seasonal cleansing, yeah. And I'm excited to be able to do it every year with everyone. So the idea is it's something that we really should be doing every year for our entire life, having our children do this, you know, participating with the seasons to maximize our health, you know, instead of resisting and struggling, and to rely upon these profound ancient systems of health and healing that had it right when they were in alignment with the seasons, and in alignment with the rhythms of nature. So unfortunately, we are subject to fluorescent lighting and technology and cars and airplanes and pollution, all of these things that can become a barrier between us and the natural rhythms of listening to the earth. And, you know, one of my greatest, most favorite books is called The Lost Language of Plants. And in it, it was shown that, this man studied many different indigenous cultures around the planet. And they all had a name. You would ask them about plants. And they all had the same name for plants. Like if it was yarrow, they all had the same name for yarrow in different languages, but it meant the same thing. And when he asked them, how did you know this name? They all said, the plant told me. So that depth of listening and that depth of connection is what we need to get back to in order to restore our health. And it's really such a fun way to participate with each other and with nature. It's an easier path. There's less struggle. So Marie Jose, I have an effect on my solar plexus and noise in my stomach, and I hesitate about cleansing. Yeah, so there's an obsession with cleansing and detoxing in our culture. And I see this all the time in my practices. People are like, oh, I'm so sick, I'm so ill, I have all these toxins, I have heavy metal poisoning, I have this and that, and I've been on a detox for 2 years and I still didn't get it all out. And I'm like, well, that's because now you've got your body in a panic mode because you're constantly cleansing and detoxing, where you need to focus on making your body safe again and feeling safe and feeling nourished and replenished. And those deep reservoirs of, like I said, that self-love, that fat layer, that cushion around our kidneys and our adrenals, which create stress hormones, to nourish those deep resources so that we have juicy energy when we need it. So yes, cleansing, and I am not about, the only time that it's okay to do like a juice cleanse would be in the heat of summer, the peak of summer. And I only recommend strict juice cleansing for people that are already pretty healthy, unless you're really, really sick and it's a heroic measure. But really getting the body healthy and balanced, there is middle ground, and that's really important to honor where we are and to love our body where it is and approach it from that place, right? So our course, the seasonal course, will be geared to speak to people at different levels and encourage you to listen to your body and find which one feels the best. And there will be lots of guidance on, what herbs, what foods are best at what time of year and what you're wanting to focus on and build. So ultimately, seasonal foods, right? What is in season where you live? So yeah, I would say cleansing is probably not the best thing if you feel like, if you're hesitant about cleansing, listen to that guidance. And yes, cold nourishment. Yeah, cleansing is not the thing to do, but it's possible. Like in yoga, we focus more on the idea of a mono diet. So you could eat khichdi, which is, a well-cooked mung beans and rice, which I'll post that as well on Facebook. That's a wonderful thing to eat this time of year. And you could do that as a mono diet. You could do that as something you eat 2 times a day, and then the other one could be, still a healthy meal. But to give your body one thing that's simple and complete and nourishing so that it can relax and feel nourished. And then you don't have to think about cooking all the time and what are we going to eat. And there's something nourishing about that. Yeah, so you can do a mono diet to clean the body versus it being a harsh cleanse. I'm not big on harsh cleansing in any way whatsoever, right? So I'll take a good deep breath together. And if there's anyone that wants to add a wish to my solstice wish prayer tree, just send us an email. It's what I do at the solstice. It is a time, like a prayer flag that your prayer blows in the wind, or you could do this at your house, just to offer that in the deepness and the depth of winter. So happy winter to you. May you deepen and enjoy the stillness of your inner being. May you connect to the brightness of your own soul. May you find nourishment in community and loved ones around you. And reach out. I want to hear what you have to say, what you want to hear. And much love to you. And thank you for joining me this evening. Okay, good night. Or good morning, wherever you are.